Hey everyone, I'm Austin.
And I'm Mitch.
And this is Super Platinum Achievement, and Sony might be a no-show for their showcase at the end of the year. We will discuss that, but first, if you are new to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down there. We really appreciate it. It helps us out a ton. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and also be sure to share it to all your friends so they can like it as well. So yeah, let's get into the story. Sony might not do their showcase this year, and there's a big reason why.
Yes.
Xbox. So it's kind of a weird thing. They don't want to be the competition Xbox at the moment because it might end up hurting them in the future. Mitch,
they're going to play possum here a little bit. So, as most of you Sony fans may know, Sony usually has a big showcase or state of play, whatever they decide to call it, around September. Well, obviously that didn't happen this year, and many people were like, oh, well, it's because everything was going on, and they decided to postpone it until October, after the release of a few of these upcoming games, and right before the release of God of War in November. So the rumor that is floating around says that they were originally going to announce that their October showcase was going to be this week, and they were going to announce it last week. However, it is now being said that they are not doing it for one particular reason, and that is because the Activision argument of the Activision Blizzard acquisition for Xbox. If you haven't been paying attention, Sony has come out and just spoken their displeasure of the deal, saying that it is, basically pushing being a monopoly because there's nothing that can match the influence that Call of Duty has on gamers, which I do think is true. It's the biggest game of all time. It's going to be the biggest game for a long time. There's one every year, and there's not really much competing with it right now outside of Battlefield, which that wasn't much competition this last time. So that's Sony's argument. And the reason they're not going to do a showcase is because Xbox's argument against Sony's argument has been saying Sony's had lots of these exclusives on their own, and they're not going to hurt by having one less game possibly come to their system. That's not going to hurt Sony. People go to Sony for their exclusives. Well, Sony must have had a large amount of new exclusives that was going to be announced during this showcase that they don't want to show off yet to give Xbox more ammo to say, see, we told you, look at all these games they have, they're going to be just
they don't
fine.
Need Call of Duty at all, so...
Exactly.
And so we do know Sony has been working on a ton of exclusives that we do not know about. And, I think it's been a while now, but I remember we did cover a story. It was like, we only know about half the exclusives they're working on. And since then, I don't think they've really announced much.
And maybe one of those games was The Last of Us Factions, the multiplayer.
Yes.
And that is, could very well compete with Call of Duty if it's done really, really well. That's a very similar style of game, a shooter. And maybe they're like, well, let's not show that because that's kind of direct competition to Call of Duty.
Yeah, especially
we don't want to show that we have that right now.
Yeah, especially like with the rumors of what this The Last of Us thing is. It's going to be, kind of like Escape from Tarkov, which is very popular right now on PC, but also that's also what a new mode in the new Call of Duty game is going to be, very similar to the DMZ. So they, maybe that's why they're not showing it off, because it's actually going to be a direct competitor to Call of Duty's DMZ mode, where you go out and scavenge, find supplies, and bring it back, kind of thing. We don't know because it hasn't been officially announced, but that's the speculation. So there is a direct head-to-head competition between Call of Duty and one of Sony's properties there. Sony also could just be developing their own first-person shooter. It's not out of the question, so they might just be waiting on that before something like that is announced, before, wait for this whole Activision deal to either go through or not go through. They just need to know what the end result is before they actually, start releasing more information on their new games. And they probably have time, they probably have another year or two between these games being released, so they have time probably to sit on them for a bit, but not too long, because they don't want to, push them back farther than they need to because of this deal pending between Microsoft and Activision. So
yeah, they're going to try and push it out as long as possible in order to get their competition ready, because even though Microsoft, after the acquisition was announced, they came out and they're like, we're dedicated to keeping Call of Duty on PlayStation. Well, Jim Ryan later said that Xbox's offer to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation was very inadequate, and that they only gave them a guaranteed 3 years after the current contract with Activision ran out, which runs out the end of 2024. So that gives them till the end of 2027, where Xbox, sounding like it would very likely pull Call of Duty from PlayStation platforms and make it exclusive to PC and Xbox.
But don't worry, Microsoft is not taking any games away from gamers. So
yeah, no,
let's just make that clear.
So
for sure, but obviously with Bethesda games too. So
So I'm kind of mixed on this whole thing, because I'm very much, free market. If they have the money, let them do it, and let them do it that way. But at the same time, I can understand the trying to create fairness, because if you get a monopoly, then the free market goes away. So
yes,
there's got to be a good balance there, and I see where Sony is coming from.
We need the Teddy Roosevelt of gaming industry to go there and break up these gaming monopolies. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I can see where Sony's coming from. At the same time, though, I'm not really a fan of them being deceitful by holding out on their announcements to give themselves a better argument. I don't really like that. If you're going to have a good argument, then just, be honest about it and not hide anything in order to make it a valid argument. Doing it this way is not my favorite. I think that's a little bit low, personally.
Yeah, we need...
that is truly the case.
Yeah, personally, I would like to hear something from Sony before the end of the year. But we don't know. Obviously, we got God of War in November. We got Forspoken coming out in the new year. We got several other games coming out early next year. So it's like they have things to focus on, but kind of after the mid-year of next year, there's not much that I can think of off the top of my head. So they're going to kind of need to start unveiling things here shortly. So maybe they'll do, they've done it in the past to showcase event in February. So maybe we can see that. Maybe there'll be enough time between, now and then where this Activision deal settles down, or we figure out where it's going to actually end up, and then Sony can put something together. And because we haven't seen a lot from them in the last 2 years, and we know they're working on stuff, and we know the stuff they do release is quality stuff, but also this kind of puts a whole like Mitch said, he just doesn't feel good about it. It's not a fun situation for gamers to be in.
Not a warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, that's the problem with this battle between buying studios and these head-to-head is the gamer is the one who suffers, and we're the ones that support them. So it's just not fair to us. So
yeah.
Oh well.
So we'd like to see it resolved one way or another. Sony needs to start announcing their stuff. Obviously, we know they've got stuff. They've had one of the best launch lineups out of any of their consoles, better than both the PS3 and the PS4. They're off to a great start. But like Austin said, the next year and a half is a little bit uncertain after God of War as far as what they're getting. I don't know. They'll probably announce some things still at the Game Awards the end of the year. They usually throw 1 or 2 things in there. And then, like Austin said, maybe they'll give it till February. Because right now, this whole Activision deal is stuck in the with the UK regulators in that section. It already went through a few. It's gotten a couple approvals right now. The Brazil one, I believe, approved it, and the Middle Eastern one, I believe, approved it, and now it's the UK, which is a big one. They need all of them to say yes, and the UK has a lot of influence. So we'll see where this goes. Hopefully, it doesn't hurt us gamers anymore. Like we said, we don't know for sure that's what's happening. Sony could very well come out and still do a showcase at the end of this month, but it's not looking promising. And if they did cancel it...
little short notice now.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't announce something this week, it's probably not going to happen this month.
Yeah.
So,
fingers crossed. If they did cancel it, we don't know 100% that's why. This is, like we said, 100% rumor and speculation, but it does make sense. So
it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys think in the comments. Like we've said before, we love to chat with you.
Do you think we're too tinfoil hatty right now, and we just need to just relax, or are we not even digging far enough? Is there more to uncover here? Let us know. What do you think?
Yeah, business world is shady. So if you guys liked this video, give us a big thumbs up, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, share with your friends, and we hope to see you soon on
Super Platinum Achievement.
See you guys.
Bye.